Hello everyone, Tina here. I hope your day is going wonderful. I'm so glad you're joining me. Well, today we're going to make some cards using the Simon Says Stamp April 2026 card kit. The card kit is called A Little Artsy and it has a little bit of everything that's mixed media in the card and in the card kit, and so we're going to jump in and create some cards using it. First off, we're going to stamp with the large daisy, so I'm going to bring in my stamping positioner. We're going to go ahead and stamp this with black ink. I'm going to use my Memento ink only because we're going to do some ink blending and this dries really fast. We'll stamp this a few times. Lovely. Our kit this month came with a stencil, and so I'm going to take this and I'm just going to line it up. Our kit this month came with some Distress Oxide inks, but I mentioned during the unboxing that we are going to, I'm going to use my full-size ink pads. I'm going to add a little color in the middle here with my scattered straw. Okay, and then I'm going to go over the edges with my Kitsch Flamingo. And that's all I'm doing with my daisy. You know, there is a coordinating die set that Simon has, and I'll link it down below, that you can use to cut this out. But I'm going to use my scissors and I'm going to fussy cut out my floral. After my floral's cut out, just to finish the edges, I'm going to use my black marker. This is my black Copic marker, and I'm going to go around the edges of my fussy cutting. If you have the die set, you probably don't need to do this, but my fussy cutting is hit and miss, I would say, and so it's nice to go over the edges. It just cleans it up. Now that's all done. Next, I'm going to bring in some of the pattern paper. I'm going to use this sheet that has this piece here. I'm going to trim this away. Lovely. And I'm also going to take this square here. I'm going to take a piece of white cardstock and using these are my Simon Says Stamp A2 nested stitched rectangles. This is the third from the largest. These are double stitch. So what I'm going to do is take a panel. I'm going to line it up here in the middle. And then I'll tape it down, and then I'm going to run this through my die cut machine. Okay, so this one we'll use for one of our next cards. I'm going to take some Salvage Patina ink. I'm going to add a little bit to my brush, and I'm going to add some color in the background. Okay, I'm going to add some water droplets using my spray bottle. All I do is add some to my hand and just kind of splatter it a little bit. We're going to oxidize some of that ink. Okay, and then I'm going to bring in my splatter box. Put this to the side. In our kit this month, our kit came with some distress paint. You want to shake it up really good, and then I'm going to add a little bit here, and then just using my brush, I'm going to pick up a little bit of ink, and I'm going to do some splattering here. Wonderful. Now I'm also going to bring in some of our Perfect Black Splatter Medium. I'm going to use my silicone spoon to stir this. Simon has some silicone spoons too. I'll link them down below if you guys are interested. This one happens to be from Spellbinders. And rather than use a paintbrush, I'm just going to use my spatula and add some splatter here. Okay. Okay. I'm going to set this aside to dry, and then I'm going to use my scissors and I'm going to distress it just a little bit. Okay. going to curl up one of the ends. And then next, using some white cardstock, I'm going to use some of the rub-ons. I know I want to use this rub-on here, okay? When this dries, we're going to add this. Okay, but I do also want to bring in a butterfly. And I happen to like this butterfly here. Okay, so I'm going to take this. I'm going to add this to some white cardstock here. Give it a good press. And then I'm going to use my little, this is adhesive remover. What this does is, well, let me show you. If you use a foam square, let me see. If you add foam squares behind, say, this flower, for example, okay, you can use this to peel up the paper. Because, let me show you. It just comes, you could rub it across and it will lift it up, okay? But the reverse side you could use for your rub-ons. Just give this a good press. You could use your bone folder too, I suppose. Okay, then I'm going to remove this. And then I'm going to use my scissors and fussy cut out. I'm going to cut off the antenna, but I'm going to fussy cut out this butterfly. Okay, now I'm going to take this rub-on and we're going to add some green here. I'm going to add some to, well, I'm going to actually trim this in half. Okay, and then I'm going to put half of the green down here, and then the other half I'm going to put up here. We're going to kind of spread out the green. Okay, and we'll rub on some green. Whoops. Okay. I think that looks wonderful. Okay, now I have my card base. Okay, I'm going to take this panel. We're going to put some adhesive behind it and tack this down to the middle of our card. Lovely. And then we have our pattern paper that I'm going to go straight across the middle with. We'll just trim this. Wonderful. We have this little paper that I'm going to add to the side here. I'm going to add my flower overhanging it off to the side here. Okay, remember we have our butterfly still. And then I have a little overhanging, so I'm just going to trim that off. Okay, now we need a greeting. I'm going to use the greeting that says thanks. This is going to go here across that flower, okay, but I'm going to add the second part of the sentence underneath here. And we're going to put thanks my friend, or thanks for everything. I'm going to take for everything in our stamp set. And we can ink this up here, and I'm going to stamp it right over here. Okay, and then I'm going to add a little glue to this side. And I put 2 foam squares on the other. And we're just going to layer this over here. Okay, also in our stamp set, we're going to do a little extra stamping with this print. I really like the print here. So we'll put this on an acrylic block. Instead of using my VersaFine Clear, I'm going to use my Memento because it dries faster and it's lighter. And I'm going to stamp a little up here. Wonderful. And I'm going to put some over on this side too. I should have did this before I adhered this down, but I think we can get away with this here. We'll add a little print here. I'm going to add the butterfly here. And then all we need are some bells and whistles. I'm going to bring in my Simon Says Stamp Assorted Moonshine, and we're just going to add a few sequins to this card. The Assorted Moonshine has the real big sequins, and those ones I like to tuck underneath. So I tucked it underneath here and here. And that will finish off my first card. Okay, we're going to move along to card number 2. For card number 2, I did some die cutting using my Stitch rectangle dies. For the smaller one, I cut out one piece of vellum, and then I also cut out the same size of our encyclopedia paper. Okay, I think we're going to layer these two on top of each other, but we're going to use a rub-on on the vellum. So in our rub-on sheet, we have this beautiful flower here. I'm just going to trim this out. Okay, and then I'm going to take my rub-on here. We'll remove the release paper. I'm going to center it on my vellum. You want to be really careful when you add the rub-on to the vellum, because it's like a sticker, and once it sticks to the vellum, you're not going to be able to lift it up. Use that same tool to burnish that pretty floral in here. Okay, and then we'll remove our rub-on. We'll remove the backing from our rub-on, and we are left with this beautiful image, which is just gorgeous. Okay, we're going to flip this over, and I'm going to add 3 dots of glue behind the leaves, the flowers, and then this way we can tack it down right over our encyclopedia page. In our kit this month, it came with some twine. I'm going to take the twine and I'm going to tie a bow with it around this here. Lovely. I'm going to flip this over and put some foam tape behind here, and then I'm going to tack it down to the center of, we're going to basically mat it on the white cardstock here. Okay, eventually I'm going to trim down these, but not right now. Next, what we're going to do is create a background. I do want to add a little bit of distressed look to our background. So I'm bringing in a card front panel. Okay, and we're going to use those same inks that we used for our first card. So starting off with Salvage Patina, we're going to add a trio of color in the background. I always like to go like in a triangle. Okay, and then I'm going to use my Kitsch Flamingo. And we'll add a little color here. Lovely. And then lastly, we're going to use our scattered straw. Kind of overlapping them a little bit. I'm not worried about the middle because the middle is going to be covered. Now I'm going to bring back my splatter box. I still have a little bit of, we're going to add a little bit more of our Salvage Patina Distress Paint. But this time I'm going to water it down a little bit. Okay. Just make it a little bit runny. Maybe it will dry faster. Okay. I'm thinking if I water it down a little bit, it'll dry faster. So let's add some splatter here. Our perfect black here. And we'll do a little splattering with this. And again, I'm just going to use the spatula. This gives me, that gives me big splatters. Okay. I'm going to use my heat gun to help dry this. Okay, now we're going to bring back our stamp set. And we're going to add some details with this. I'm going to take this image here. I'm going to use my Memento ink, and we'll ink this up here. And I'm going to stamp this down here in this bottom corner. And then I'm going to flip it around. And I'm going to stamp it up here too. Lovely. Also in our stamp set we have these little lines. I'm going to take this and we're going to add some little extra detail with this. I think just 2 are all we need. Okay, I'm going to take this and we're going to adhere this to the front of our card base. Okay, I'm going to take this panel next. We're going to add glue behind here, and then this is going to go right in the middle. Okay, I did cover up those corners that we stamped with this image. I think ideally I'd put it more towards the corner if I were to do it again, but I'm going to just roll with it. In the meantime, in our stamp set, I'm going to cut out Cheers to You. With the 2 glasses here, and then the Cheers to You. I'm actually going to cut out Cheers to You here. Okay. We'll cut this out. And I'm gonna take this. This is a hindsight. I'm gonna add Cheers to You right down here on the bottom. Okay, so ideally you'd want to do this after before you pop it up with foam tape. But I did put a good amount of foam tape on here, so I think I can still get away with it. Okay. Let's see. Yeah. And I think it works. Wonderful. And then also there's rays of glass in here that I want to cut out. Okay. I'm going to take the raised glass, add it to some white cardstock here. I'm going to cut off the bubbly pieces because I'm going to fussy cut this out. And I'm going to put this on some white cardstock. Okay. So both of these are cut out. Okay, I'm not going to put this to waste. This is the other part to our greeting here. Okay, what I want to do is just trim around it till I just get to the basic scripty part on the bottom. I'm going to cut it in half. And then I'm going to add some extra. I really wanted some kind of print in the corner, so this is going to work out perfect. We'll put half there and half here. Lovely. We'll just burnish this in. Then I did trim the tails of my bow. I went ahead and put our glasses here. It's a good spot. And then I'm going to add my other greeting up here. And I feel like we're missing something. And you know what? I'm going to use one of the transparent. I'm going to use Simon's Transparency. I'm just going to trim it. It's the one with the floral. And I think we need to add something here, like a banner or something. I'm going to use my Simon Says Stamp tape runner, and I'll add it here. I'll use the grid lines on my grid mat to make sure it's straight. We'll go. Let's add it here. Then I'll add a little more. We're just kind of stretching it. Okay, now we need finishing touches. I'm going to add a few sequins here. So I put a few as if they're bubbles coming out of the cups there. And then next I'm going to use my glazing glue, and we're going to add a little bit of glazing glue over those glasses to give those a little shine too. And that will finish that card. For my next card, I used my stitch rectangle die to cut out a panel. This one is about a 1/4 inch smaller than my card base. And then I trimmed down some more of my encyclopedia paper. What we're going to do, I had a tear in mine, and I'm just going to continue tearing it. Actually, I like this one better. Maybe we should go from the top. I want this to go on the inside of my stitch lines, so I'm going to trim a little bit more off of this side. It ends up being 3.5 inches wide. Okay, so now I want to create a gap. Now I'm going to trim a little bit more off of the bottom piece here. Okay, so now we have a gap between here, a little distressed gap, but I want to add a little bit of ink to my encyclopedia pages. So I'm bringing back my Kitsch Flamingo. Let's add a little color here. I'll do the same to the bottom. Okay, and then we'll add a little bit of salvage patina. And lastly, a little bit of scattered straw. Wonderful. Using my glue, I'm going to glue these down just inside my stitch detail. Did I tear off a piece? I think I did. Whoops. Okay. I actually lost a piece that I need to fix. Okay. When I was adding color, I actually lost this little piece, but no worries, because we're just going to glue it together. I think it goes with the distressed look. There we go. Okay, we're going to take this little goodness of pink splotchiness, I don't know what to call it, but we're going to add this to our distressed background here. Okay, and I'm going to cut this, we're going to cut this in 2 pieces too, just so we could stretch it. So it's inside of that valley that we created. We'll just tack this down. You want to be really careful going over the encyclopedia pages, because let me show you. For this one, you see how it took a chunk of the paper off? You just want to be really careful when you go over this. Okay? Just make sure you burnish it really well, because it does pick up the ink saturated encyclopedia page. Okay? Okay, we're going to take this and adhere it directly to the front of our card base. And then from our very first card, we had a frame that we're going to frame this in. Okay, let's go ahead and add some foam tape behind here and tack it down right on the front of our card here. For my greeting on this card, we're going to stamp Happy Birthday to You. I'm going to use my VersaFine Claire. We'll stamp Happy. And then we have Birthday to You. Wonderful. I'm pretty sure the dies Simon has will cut this out, but I'm just going to fussy cut it. rather than add black splatter to my card, what we're going to do is add these splatters here. Okay, so I'm just going to use an acrylic block, and then I want them pretty dark, so I want to bring back my VersaFine Clair, and you can see I already fussy cut out my greeting. Okay, but we're going to add some, let's add some splatter here. We're also going to add some of these little numbers in our background too. Since it's a birthday card, we got to add some birthday numbers. Wonderful. What I'm going to do next is take this butterfly. I'm going to fussy cut this butterfly out. Okay, we'll just add a couple foam squares behind the back here. I always just like to add the foam squares behind the body. Okay, we'll fluff up the wings here, and I'm going to we'll add the butterfly down here on the bottom, and then we can add happy birthday. Over here. Wonderful. Let's go ahead and add our bells and whistles using the same sequins. And then lastly, I'm going to add a little bit of diamond stickles to the butterfly, just for a little extra shine there, and then that will finish off that card. Just a little bit on that butterfly body really does add a lot of sparkle. I think that makes a nice little birthday card, but that will finish off my third card project. Let's take a look at all three cards that we made today using the Simon Says stamp April 2026 card kit. Fabulous card kit. It's called A Little Artsy. Put this in the middle. There we go. I hope this gives you a little bit of inspiration with the card kit. Mixed media, sometimes people get intimidated by it, but I think it's super fun, especially when you use soft colors. I just love the way this looks. Thanks for joining me today. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and we'll see you soon. Bye-bye. Thanks so much for sticking with me to the end. I have 2 more videos that you guys might be interested here. If you guys are new and like the content that you see, click that subscribe button and also the notification bell. That way for future videos, be notified. Also, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. It sure does help the channel. Have a wonderful day. We'll see you soon. Bye-bye.